Excluded from my brother's retirement party, I went on vacation. When the celebration fell apart, my whole family frantically tried to reach me. I remember that Tuesday morning like it was yesterday. My name is Owen. I'm 36 years old and I live in Boulder, Colorado. I was just making coffee when I saw the message from my brother, Jared, pop up on my phone. The text was so casual it almost didn't register at first. Hey man, just a heads up. We had to trim the guest list for the retirement ceremony. Sorry, you're not on it anymore. Hope you understand. For a second, I thought it had to be a joke. Jared's retirement ceremony was supposed to be a big deal, his final hurrah after 20 years in the Navy. I had been there for every milestone in his life, from his first deployment to his wedding, even the night he called me sobbing because he didn't think he'd make it home from Iraq. And now, I was cut from the guest list like I was some distant cousin. I stared at the phone, my hands shaking slightly as I read his words over and over. Trim the guest list, he said, like I was a line item in some spreadsheet. My throat went dry, and I could feel a slow burn rising in my chest. I called him immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. Jared, what the hell is going on? Call me back. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't sit still, so I went to see my mom. She lives a few blocks away, and I figured she'd have some explanation. When I told her about the text, she just sighed, stirring her coffee with that distant look she always wore when she didn't want to deal with drama. Oh, Owen, it's just a party. Don't make such a big deal out of it. Mom, he cut me out of his retirement ceremony. It's not just a party. I've been there for everything, I snapped. She didn't even flinch. You're overreacting. Jared said the guest list was tight. You know how these things go. I could feel the rage bubbling up inside me, but I swallowed it down. Yeah, well, I've been his rock for years, and this is how he thanks me? It's bullshit. Don't curse in my house, Owen, she said, shaking her head. You're acting like a child. I left before I said something I'd regret. As I drove home, I kept thinking about every time I had dropped everything for Jared. When he needed money to fix his car. When his marriage was falling apart. When he got into a fight at a bar in San Diego and called me to bail him out. I was always there. And now? Now I wasn't even worth an invite. Back home, I sat in the quiet of my living room, staring at the text again. The anger turned into something colder. Something that made me want to do the one thing I'd never done before, put myself first. I pulled out my laptop and started researching ski resorts in the Alps. I found this beautiful place in Verbier, Switzerland, luxury chalets, private lessons, first-class everything. It was stupid expensive, but I didn't care. If my own brother didn't see me as worth including, I'd show him just how little I cared about his precious retirement ceremony. I booked the trip right then and there. 2 weeks in the Alps, just for me. No family, no obligations, no one to make me feel small. As the confirmation email hit my inbox, I felt this surge of adrenaline. For once, I wasn't going to be the good brother, the dependable one. I was going to be the guy who did exactly what he wanted. I poured myself a whiskey and sat back, my mind racing with all the ways I'd been taken for granted over the years. I wasn't going to let them do it anymore. Not Jared, not my mom, no one. If they didn't see my worth, then screw it. I'd live my own life, on my own terms. And it felt damn good. A couple of days later, I was sitting at my kitchen table, my plane ticket to Switzerland sitting right there in front of me like a shiny little promise. I could still feel the sting of that text from Jared, but I wasn't going to let it ruin what I had planned for myself. I posted a photo of the ski lodge on Instagram. The caption was short and sharp. Sometimes you have to cut what doesn't serve you. #AlpsAdventure. Within minutes, the comments started rolling in, some friends cheering me on, others asking if I was okay. I didn't answer. I didn't want to explain. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed with a call from my mom. I knew she wouldn't let this slide. I hesitated, then picked up. Owen, what is this trip about? You're being petty, she started, her voice tight. Petty? I scoffed. You call it petty, Mom, but Jared cut me out like I was nothing. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that doesn't hurt. Oh, for God's sake, it's just a party, she said, exasperated. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I bit back a laugh. No, Mom, I'm done pretending that being treated like an afterthought is normal. You don't get to tell me how I should feel. She sighed, long and dramatic, like I was some disappointment she didn't have time to deal with. Owen, you're acting like a spoiled child. Think about your brother. Think about the family. I have, Mom. My whole life, I've thought about the family. About Jared. About you. But this time, I'm thinking about me. She started to argue, but I ended the call and turned off my phone. I couldn't deal with it anymore. For once, I wanted the noise to stop. 2 days later, I was on a first-class flight to Switzerland. As the plane took off, I ordered a glass of champagne. The flight attendant handed it to me with a polite smile, and I raised it in a toast to freedom, to myself, to a fresh start. The flight was smooth and quiet, just me and my thoughts. I kept thinking about all the times I had let Jared's drama swallow me whole. The phone calls at 2 in the morning, the frantic texts, the times he'd shown up at my door expecting a place to crash. And I'd always said yes, always been there. Not this time. This time, I was saying yes to myself. When I landed in Switzerland, the cold air bit at my cheeks as I stepped off the plane. It was early morning, and the sun was just starting to peek over the mountains. The driver who picked me up was polite and quiet, and as we wound our way up to the lodge, I let myself just be still for the first time in months. The lodge was everything I hoped it would be: stone walls, warm wooden beams, a crackling fireplace in the lobby. My room had a balcony that looked out over the snow-covered peaks. I set down my bags and stood there for a moment, breathing it in. Later that evening, I went out on the balcony and snapped a photo of the sunset painting the Alps in pink and gold. I posted it with another pointed caption: "Tough cuts make the best views." As the comments rolled in, I leaned back in the deck chair, feeling a quiet satisfaction. Let them wonder, let them gossip. I didn't care. For the first time in years, I wasn't living for anyone else. No Jared, no family, just me. And I wouldn't feel guilty for it, not for a second. The next morning, I woke up early, even though I had nowhere to be. The light outside was soft, the snow reflecting the sunrise in hues of orange and pink. I padded barefoot to the window and just stood there, feeling more at peace than I had in years. I ordered breakfast in bed, fresh croissants, a pot of coffee, eggs with smoked salmon. It was more than I'd usually allow myself, but I didn't care. If I was going to be selfish, I was going to do it right. While I ate, my phone buzzed nonstop on the nightstand. Dozens of messages from family members, missed calls, voicemails that I had no intention of listening to. I silenced the phone and turned my attention back to the view. Later, I went down to the ski shop in the lobby and rented all the gear I needed. The clerk gave me a friendly smile as he fitted my boots. "First time in Switzerland?" "Yeah," I said, smiling back. "First time for a lot of things." I hit the slopes that day, letting my body remember how to move, how to fall and get back up. The cold air stung my cheeks, but I welcomed it. I didn't think about Jared, or my mom, or what the rest of the family would say about my selfish trip. For once, I wasn't carrying anyone else's weight. When I was done skiing for the day, I checked into the spa. I let them scrub my skin raw and massage the knots out of my shoulders. My mind was quiet in a way it hadn't been in years. I took my time getting dressed afterward, and by the time I was done, the sun was dipping behind the mountains, casting long shadows over the snow. I went out to the lodge's hot tub, nestled on a wooden deck overlooking the valley below. I took a selfie right there, steam rising around me, the snow-capped peaks in the distance. The caption was short and barbed: "Guess some of us know how to enjoy life." Almost immediately, comments started rolling in. Some friends from back home cheering me on, some family members trying to guilt-trip me from behind their screens. I read them all, but I didn't let any of it touch me. I watched the sunset from that hot tub, my skin warm, my breath steaming in the cold evening air. It was the first time in years that I let myself really feel how light I could be without everyone else's problems dragging me down. I thought about Jared's party, how he would probably be toasting his retirement, how he'd probably tell some story that made him look like the hero and me like the footnote. But that was okay. Let them have their stories. I was done trying to be part of them. As the sky turned dark, I closed my eyes and let myself sink into the water. I felt like I was floating, not just in the hot tub, but in my own life. For the first time, I wasn't anyone's fallback plan or fixer or second choice. I was just me, and it felt like freedom. That evening, I was sitting by the stone fireplace in the lodge's lounge, a glass of deep red wine in my hand. The fire cracked and popped, warm and comforting in the otherwise quiet room. I was just starting to feel settled when my phone buzzed again, relentless as ever. I hesitated, then picked it up. Dozens of messages from my family, most of them from my cousin Alex. I scrolled through, each one more frantic than the last. Something had happened at Jared's retirement party. "Bro, you won't believe this. Call me ASAP." I set the phone down for a moment, feeling a rush of curiosity mixed with something darker. A part of me almost didn't want to know, but I picked it back up and hit call. Alex answered on the first ring, his voice low and urgent. "Owen, you're not going to believe what's going on. Jared's party? It's a disaster." I leaned back in my chair, a slow smile creeping across my face. "Really? Tell me everything." Alex didn't waste a second. "It started out normal, you know? Jared giving speeches, everyone toasting him. But then, in the middle of it, his wife, she just snapped. She got up, said she wasn't going to sit there and pretend anymore." I raised an eyebrow, swirling the wine in my glass. "Pretend what?" "That Jared's been cheating on her," Alex said. She just blurted it out in front of everyone: family, coworkers, the whole damn room. I let out a low whistle. Well, yeah, it was chaos, Alex went on. People started yelling. Jared tried to deny it, but she had proof, texts, photos. She threw them right at him. His wife walked out in the middle of the party. I tried to imagine the scene. Jared, the golden boy, the one who always had everything under control, getting publicly called out. My chest tightened, but not with sympathy. It was a strange, almost giddy relief. Maybe it was wrong to feel that way, but after everything, it felt like the universe was finally evening the score. Alex kept talking, his voice almost breathless. Everyone's blaming each other. Jared's mom is screaming at his wife's sister. Jared's dad is telling everyone to calm down. It's a total shit show, man. I could hear the noise in the background. Raised voices, clinking glasses, someone crying. And where are you in all this, Alex? I asked. He let out a hollow laugh. In the middle of it, trying not to get dragged in. They're saying you should have been here to keep the peace. Like it's your job to fix all this. I snorted, taking a slow sip of my wine. Let them think that. I'm not fixing anything for them anymore. Alex paused. Are you coming home? I didn't even have to think about it. No, they didn't want me there. And now they want me to play peacemaker? No thanks. For a moment, Alex didn't say anything. Then, quietly, I get it, man. I just figured you'd want to know. Thanks for telling me, I said. But I'm good right here. We hung up, and I put my phone on the table, staring into the fire. My mind went back over the years I'd spent putting Jared back together whenever he fell apart. The late-night calls, the rushed trips to help him out of whatever mess he'd gotten into. The way my mom always said, you're the big brother. Owen, he needs you. But right then, sitting in that lodge thousands of miles away, I realized something. Jared didn't need me. Not really. He needed someone to clean up after him. And for years, I'd let that be me. No more. I watched the logs crackle and spark, felt the weight of my own freedom settle in my chest. Jared's party was a disaster, and it had nothing to do with me. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel responsible. I felt free. I woke up the next morning to another avalanche of notifications. My cousin Alex had left me a string of voice messages overnight, his voice a mixture of shock and amusement. I lay in bed for a minute, staring at the wooden beams overhead, then finally pressed play. Dude, it's me again. You wouldn't believe what happened after I talked to you. Jared's wife didn't just call him out. She exposed everything. Turns out he's been having an affair with his coworker for almost a year. She had proof, photos, texts, the works. People were leaving the party in droves. I don't think Jared's ever going to recover from this. I smiled faintly, my chest feeling oddly light. For once, I wasn't part of the mess. For once, I didn't feel responsible for fixing any of it. The next message was a bit more frantic. Some people are saying it's your fault. That if you'd been there, maybe it wouldn't have gotten so out of hand. You know how they are always finding a way to blame someone else. That made me laugh. I sat up, swinging my legs over the side of the bed. Me, the one who wasn't even invited, somehow to blame for the disaster of the decade. It was so typical it almost didn't even sting. I got dressed, feeling calm in a way I hadn't in years. I pulled on a thick sweater and headed down to the Lodge Cafe for breakfast. The place was cozy and warm, the smell of fresh bread and coffee filling the air. I ordered a plate of crispy bacon and eggs, then took a seat by the window to watch the snow fall outside. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from Alex. I answered with a smirk in my voice. Morning, cousin. What's the latest? He sounded exhausted but couldn't help laughing. Oh man, you should have seen it. After everyone left, Jared's mom tried to get him to apologize to his wife, but she wasn't having it. She packed her bags and left that night. And guess what? Some of the relatives are still trying to blame you. Like it's your job to keep the family from falling apart. I snorted. They're grasping at straws. Let them. Alex hesitated, then asked, You really not coming back? I didn't even pause. No. They made it clear I'm not welcome. I'm not coming back just to be their scapegoat again. He let out a low whistle. Man, I wish I had the guts to do what you're doing. I thought about that for a second. It's not easy, Alex, but it's worth it. We hung up, and I sat there for a long time, just sipping my coffee and feeling the kind of peace that doesn't come around often. My family was spinning in circles, trying to figure out who to blame for their own mess. And I was thousands of miles away, in a mountain lodge surrounded by snow and silence. Before I left the cafe, I pulled out my phone and took a photo of my breakfast, a simple plate of food, but it felt like a feast. I posted it with a caption that was half joke, half truth. When you're blamed for everything anyway, might as well enjoy the view. #breakfast of freedom. Then I blocked Jared's number, and my mom's, and anyone else who thought I owed them something. I felt no guilt, no hesitation, just a quiet, exhilarating relief. Like I was finally done living in their mess. Like I had finally stepped out of the shadow of being the fixer, the peacekeeper, the afterthought. And as I walked back to my room, the cold mountain air on my face, I realized something else. I didn't miss them at all. The next morning, I woke up just before sunrise. The room was still dark, except for the faint light creeping in around the curtains. I lay there for a moment, listening to the wind outside, and feeling a kind of calm that I hadn't known in years. I checked my phone. One voicemail from Alex, and a few last desperate messages from my mom and Jared that I'd missed before I blocked them. I played the voicemail from Alex as I made coffee. "Hey, Owen, just wanted to say, I think you did the right thing. Everyone's still trying to figure out what to do. But honestly, it's kind of satisfying seeing them deal with their own chaos for once. I know you probably don't want to hear it, but I'm proud of you, man. Anyway, enjoy your vacation." I smiled as I poured the coffee into a mug. For once, I wasn't starting my day worried about someone else's problems. No calls to return, no messes to clean up, no roles to play. I opened the window, letting the cold air fill the room. The mountains were pink with early light, the snow still and perfect. I sipped my coffee and felt lighter than I had in years. I pulled out my laptop and extended my stay at the lodge for another week. Why not? I had nothing to go back to but people who only saw me as a safety net. When the confirmation came through, I felt a quiet thrill. A whole week just for me. No Jared, no family guilt, just me and the mountains. After breakfast, I went down to the ski shop and signed up for a private lesson. The instructor was a friendly guy named Luca, with a wide smile and an easy laugh. We spent the day on the slopes, carving through fresh snow, my legs aching in the best possible way. Every time I caught a glimpse of the mountains around me, I felt that weight in my chest loosen a little more. I wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone anymore. I wasn't trying to earn a place in a family that would never really see me. When I got back to my room that evening, I blocked the last numbers that had slipped through, random aunts, cousins who suddenly wanted to check in. I wouldn't let them pull me back in. I was done. I posted one last photo on social media that night, a shot of the view from my balcony, the moonlight on the snow making it glow like something from a dream. The caption was simple: finding peace in the places they can't reach me. I turned off my phone and set it on the nightstand. Outside, the wind howled softly through the pines, and for the first time in as long as I could remember, I felt like I could finally breathe. Tomorrow, I'd be back on the slopes, carving my own path down the mountain. And for once, that was enough. No apologies, no explanations, just me, choosing myself, finally. The next morning, I woke up to the hush of falling snow outside my window. It was like the mountains were wrapping me in silence, a world away from the chaos I'd left behind. I made myself an espresso and sat on the balcony, watching the flakes dance in the icy air. I felt weightless, like I'd finally taken off a coat I'd been wearing for so long I didn't realize how heavy it was. After breakfast, I went out into the crisp air and wandered down to the mountain cafe I'd spotted on my first day here. It was a cozy little place with wooden tables and a view that stretched for miles. I ordered another espresso and a slice of fresh apple tart and settled in by the window. I took out my phone one last time and snapped a photo. My coffee, the snowy peaks beyond, the hint of blue sky that promised a bright day. I posted it to my social media with a caption that said everything I needed to say, zero regrets. The likes started coming in almost immediately, but I didn't care about them. This post wasn't for anyone else. It was a final marker, a declaration to myself that I was done trying to be the person they needed me to be. I was done being the fixer, the helper, the one they blamed when things fell apart. I closed my phone and set it down on the table. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel the urge to keep checking for updates or messages. I didn't feel the itch of someone else's expectations in the back of my mind. I just sat there, sipping my espresso and watching the snow swirl outside the window. The bitterness of the coffee on my tongue felt good, grounding me in the moment. I thought about my family, about Jared, about my mom, about all the years I spent trying to hold them together, and I realized, with a clarity that left me almost breathless, that I didn't miss them at all. The hurt was still there, sure. It might always be, but for once, it wasn't pulling me back in. It was just a scar, a part of my story I could look at and know that it didn't define me. I finished my coffee and left a generous tip for the barista. As I stepped back into the cold, I took a deep breath, letting the crisp air fill my lungs. No more drama, no more blame, no more endless cycles of trying to prove I belonged. Just me, here in the mountains, carving out my own path. And for the first time, I felt like that was enough. I walked back to the lodge, feeling the snow crunch beneath my boots, and smiled to myself. I had no plans, no one to answer to, and nothing holding me back. It was just me now, and that was all I needed.